Welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to make a low-calorie lasagna. This is from Cooking Light. It is one of my absolute favorite recipes. It's delicious. It's only 360 calories per slice and you get a nice big chunk of it. They do it with fat-free ricotta cheese and lower calorie part skim mozzarella and a very low leaned beef. There's a few other tricks here as well as we'll go through it, but it is just, trust me, fantastic. And it's easy. It takes, I've done this a million times. It takes 20 minutes. I use no boil noodles. I'll show you how that works as well. But what we're going to start with is the ricotta mixture. And the key here is to get the fat-free ricotta, not reduced fat, but fat-free. It's kind of hard to find. They do have it at our grocery store. It's a Wegmans brand. And you just put the entire container in there. In addition, you add a couple ounces or 2 ounces of the part skim mozzarella. Okay. You add those beautiful fresh herbs I told you about earlier where I've frozen them and I can use them now in the winter. I froze them from my garden, but you could freeze them from your grocer or whatever. But I've got some beautiful parsley in here, some fresh oregano, and then I also have some garlic. And then last but not least, we have an egg, and we're supposed to mix it just a bit. Not beat it, but just mix it with a fork. Like that. And then we'll pour it in. I like to get everything in because you're not getting much here. So you got to get every flavor profile. I'm going to add a tablespoon and a half of butter. Again, another secret ingredient. It really tastes rich and delicious in this cheese sauce, and it really gives you a lot of flavor, a lot of bang for your buck, so to speak, with just a little 1.5 tablespoons. And I'm going to show this to you in a minute. There it is. There's the beautiful ricotta cheese mixture. And now we're going to go to the oven and cook up the ground beef, which is 95% fat-free. Okay, we're at the oven here. I've got a big old pan with the meat in here. Doesn't that look spectacular? That is 95% lean meat for sure. And we're going to go ahead and turn that on high. Probably go down a little bit after a while. But the key is to just get it crumbled. And I like to get it spread out throughout the pan so that it gets the maximum heat instead of leaving it in a big lump at the beginning. I also have here the 3 different spices that we're going to be putting in. We've got the garlic, the crushed red pepper, and then fresh ground black pepper. So I'm going to sprinkle that on the meat. And get the rest of it in here as well. And that will soak into that meat and just be delicious. And then if there is any fat left over, there usually isn't much, we'll drain that off at the end as well. Okay, we've got our ground beef all cooked up and ready to go. And now we're going to put in the prepared marinara sauce. My favorite is this Dave's Gourmet. I absolutely love it. It's the lowest sodium. Even lower sodium than the ones proclaiming to be low sodium. So this is my favorite. They have many different flavors and things like that. And maybe there's something lower in your grocery store or not, but I encourage you to take a look at the sodium content on these because they put a lot of salt in these marinaras. And that is the enemy. So I'm just going to mix this up. And then we're going to go over and start putting the lasagna together. This simple. There's the ricotta, the mozzarella cheese. Here's the pan we're going to be using. Here's that meat sauce. And here's our no-boil lasagna noodles. All you do is put water on them. And make sure they're made out of the Durham wheat. It's much better. You can see the Italian sign here. It's just tastier. Okay, the first thing it calls for is a ½ cup of meat. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to spray it generously with a cooking spray. I'm using an off-brand right now, Kirkland. Then it calls for ½ cup of meat sauce. And I just pour it in there and then I spread it with a spoon. And again, it's not going to be completely covered. You're just getting started. So don't worry that you don't have it all covered or it doesn't look like there's enough on there. I mean, I thought the same thing when I first started. I want to show you that so you can actually take a look at what that first step looks like. Okay, and then the next thing is the noodles. Let's go over and take a look at these noodles. Very simple, 3 of them. Water on either side, shake it off, done. The recipe has this big complicated thing where you break it into 4 and so on and so forth. I just use 3 noodles. 1, 2. But just look how easy it is. 3. Period. There you go. Done. And then the next piece is it says meat sauce, noodles, 1 cup of meat sauce. So now we're going to put a whole cup in and spread it over those noodles. And now I try to kind of, since you got the noodles here, it's not as easy to spread it, so I do kind of try to spread it out a little bit, and then I smash it down with this spoon again. Again, does not have to be perfect. Just make sure you get a lot of sauce on the noodles themselves, because even though you've wetted them down, you want those to be nice and tender, and they need moisture to do that. Okay? So now we've put in the 1 cup of meat sauce. We do the noodle thing again. Wet them down. 1, 2, and 3. Oops, a little messy there, but that's okay. And then the next thing, after the noodles, is all of the ricotta. So I'm going to dump this entire amount of ricotta. Again, I'm going to spread it, try to spread it a little bit evenly. And here I use my fingers, and I have washed them. So, but I put lumps of it at a time because once it gets on there, it's pretty sticky. Oh, and you should smell this. Again, I always say one of the secrets to good cooking is good ingredients. And these fresh herbs that I have from my garden, frozen, are so good. You can just smell them. They're like I just picked them yesterday. And I really encourage you to look at the recipe on how we do that. It's so simple. And that's the end of the ricotta. I want to make sure I get every drop in here. I'm going to leave 1 single drop of ricotta, butter, or anything else of goodness that's in here. Let's see where we need some additional, maybe here. Okay, so just as easy as that. Now we've done the whole ricotta. Now we're going to do another cup of meat sauce. Okay, and we're going to spread that out evenly. take the magic spoon again and just make sure it does not have to be perfect. I remember the first time I did this, I was so worried about it, you know, getting even. And, you know, when you take a slice, it gets all messed up anyway, so what's the difference? Okay, then we do the noodles again. 3 noodles. Not many noodles in here, but it sure tastes like it once you start eating. 1, 2, and then that last one, number 3. Okay. And then the last thing is to put the remaining meat sauce on top, which we'll go ahead and do. Oops. That's about a cup. And I'm going to get the rest of it here. There's that. And spread it out. Once again, I like to make sure it's a little bit even, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and then finally, we top it with the mozzarella, cheese, and Romano mixture. And this cheese, remember, is that low-calorie cheese. And the Romano gives it that extra flavor. And the Romano is very small. You only get an ounce of Romano. But you'd never know it because it is really flavorful. Okay, so literally that was it. How hard was that? It was not hard. Okay, and we're gonna pop that in the oven. Okay, so I'm gonna cover this with foil and then pop it in the oven for 30 minutes. The oven's been preheating at 375. Okay, I have already taken off the foil and let it cook for another 10 minutes and get it browned. And now you put it on broiler and put it to broil for 1 to 2 minutes. Here's the lasagna broken up into 6 pieces. Remember, 360 calories each. It's a really nice big piece. You can see I put a little fresh parsley on the top, or fresh frozen parsley. And just remember, this recipe is on livinretirement.com. livinretirement.com. As you can see, we also use smaller plates. This is the size plate we used to use. Now we're using this plate. And it makes you feel like you're eating more. Another trick on ourselves. Okay, so here we are, and this is our dinner. It looks spectacular. I know it is going to be delicious. It smells delicious. This is one of our favorite recipes. You can find this recipe on our website, Livin Retirement. That's Livin retirement.com. Okay, you ready to taste it, Eric?
Fantastic.
I mean, it's freezing outside. There's nothing like lasagna. Knowing that this big old piece is only 360 calories, this is a winner. Try it, you'll love it.